This is an overview of the post slider by Unlimited Elements for Elementor. Let's get started. To get started, drag the post slider into your Elementor column. What this widget does, it presents your posts in a slider format that you can navigate using arrows, using autoplay, and using the bullets underneath, which are called dots. I'm going to take you over the settings and show you how you can customize this to be suitable for your website design. So first of all, in post query, you can choose any post type that you have on your WordPress website. For example, I have WooCommerce installed, so I'm going to use product, and now it shows products from WooCommerce. Let's bring it back to post for demonstration purposes. Over here in Max Post, you can determine how many slides you want there to be active. For example, if I'll change this to 5, you can see there are only 5 right now instead of 10. You can order the slides any way you want by order types and choose the direction. Of course, you can use also query ID for custom filtering. Inside of general, we have an option to turn off autoplay. So that's the first thing. Now autoplay is off and the slides won't move automatically. Also, you can turn on autoplay on hover. So it will stop autoplaying once you hover with your mouse. Autoplay timeout is how long you want each slide to be. So right now it's set to 4 seconds. Let's just change it to 1 second so you can see the difference. Now every 1 second it's transitioning and sliding over. So that's for autoplay timeout. Transition speed is for the animation, the fade animation that's occurring between the slides. And we can change also the button text. For example, if I would use this for WooCommerce, then in that case, maybe I would change the text to buy now. So let's turn off autoplay just so it won't be annoying while I explain. And I'm going to jump into layout. In layout, we can turn on or off the different types of elements that we have inside of this widget. For example, turn off the title, turn off the date, and so on and so on. Of course, you can also turn off the arrows and the dots underneath over here. Awesome. Next section is for arrows. We can choose any icon from the Elementor icon library. And that's about it for the content settings. Let's jump into style. Inside of style, we can determine what kind of animation we want there to be while transitioning between the different slides. Now, I don't know what each one of these does, but you can play around and just choose. And now you can see now it's zooming in, for example. So you can really get some awesome effects from here. So let's see, bounce in left and rotate out. So really awesome. I don't know if you want to play with these. I'm kind of a standard guide, so I use fade usually or slide. Inside of general, we can align the text differently. Right now it's aligned to the center. I can align it to the left, for example, if I want to. So you can play around with that. Content background is for the background in the content area. As you can see, it was semi-transparent. Now I'm changing it to any color I like. You can even do white with a semi-transparent or whatever your website design needs. Content width is for the width of the box over here inside. So you can play around with the width if you want that to be wider. Of course, this is a responsive setting, so you can determine different widths. And by the way, it's a maximum width. So if there won't be room for it in a tablet, it will still adjust, but you can set the width separately for that screen resolution. Height is for the height of the image inside of the slider. So you can push that up, down, whatever you need. Content paddings for the padding inside of the content area. So right now it's set to 40. I'm just going to push that up to 80, let's say, just so you can see the difference. Looking awesome. Content radius, as you can see, the radius over here is a bit rounded. If you don't want it to be rounded at all, you can push that to 0. If you want to make it really rounded, you can push that out. and do whatever you want. Content border. So right now I just added a border. Let's make the border color white and let's make it thicker using content border width. You can play around with that as well. Looking awesome. Post title, text, and button. So these are the different parts over here, and we can also change the date, of course. And each one of these has a spacing option, a color option, a typography option, and you can just play around with the typography however you want. Inside of the button settings, over here we can make our button rounded, so I pushed it out to the button radius. If I want to make my button wider, I would add some padding. So I'm going to unlink the padding over here, and let's add like 60 from left and right, and now you can see it's a lot wider. Let's add also a border, so just so we can see that, and we can make the button background color transparent this way. Let's make the button border width 1 pixel. You can see you can really get any design that you want using the settings over here. In the arrow settings, the important settings are nav arrow spacing. So if we want to push these arrows inside, we can space them out, for example, 50 pixels. And now you will see that they're not close to the left and they're 50 pixels pushed out. You can also give a negative value and then they will be pushed out of the column depending how wide your website is or how wide the section is. If it's full width, of course you won't want to do something like that. Nav arrow position, so this is for the vertical alignment. As you can see, I want to put it in the middle over here of the text, so you can play around with that as well. Of course, these two are responsive settings. Nav arrow radius, for example, if I want to make my arrows rounded, and what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make my icons a little bit smaller, and you can also play around with the background to make it bigger, and of course all of the colors. The dots is for the dot section over here. Of course you have color options, spacing options, and size options. Let's just make these bigger, and that's about it. So I hope you guys found this tutorial helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.